Look at this visual, this blurred, frantic dash through the dark. For most of us, this is what Tuesday feels like. We spend our days rushing from one crisis to the next, operating entirely in panic mode. We've built up this idea that dodging bullets is a measure of intelligence. We tell ourselves that if we can keep our heads down, avoid risk, and narrowly escape the latest disaster at work or in life, we're winning. But when your entire operating system is designed to avoid getting hit, your choice is narrow. You stop making decisions based on what you actually want to achieve, and you start making them based entirely on what you are afraid of. That posture, the constant bracing for impact, is exhausting. It drains your mental bandwidth and physically wears you down because you know it is only a matter of time before the next shoe drops. If your entire game plan revolves around simply trying not to lose, you never actually step up to play. Scrambling to survive the day is a completely different sport than actually living. There is a line from the character Captain Jack Sparrow that gets at this perfectly. Did you survive all those dangers? Is that the secret to living? It forces a really uncomfortable question. When you examine the logic of pure survival, there's a massive hole in it. You can successfully run from bad bosses, toxic relationships, and financial scares, but dodging those external threats does absolutely zero to toughen up your mind. We spend immense amounts of energy obsessing over the storms happening outside of us. We track the economy, the job market, and the people causing us grief, while actively ignoring the fragile state of our own minds. Finding shelter from the rain offers no real safety if your own anxiety is still tearing you apart on the inside. Eventually, the avoidance strategy hits a wall. A crisis arrives that is too wide to sidestep and too fast to outrun. You hit absolute zero. Bank accounts drain. The support network you thought you had vanishes, and the systems you relied on collapse all at once. Look at how this flowchart models a crisis. These arrows represent external forces, job loss, bills, isolation, converging aggressively onto a single central point, your mind. At this moment of total external failure, the true conflict moves completely out of the physical world and into your psychology. Notice how the arrows pulse, but it's the central node that begins to glow red and swell. Those outside stressors are just the spark. The actual, lasting damage is manufactured right here, generated entirely by how we frame the situation internally. And under that self-generated pressure, the center shatters. Long before a person is actually ruined financially or physically, their psychological composure breaks down. When a person faces absolute ruin, they don't lose their wallet or their network first. They lose their mental framework. Once that mental framework snaps, a highly predictable trap opens up. It starts with sudden panic, devolves into chronic overthinking, and quickly leads to frantic, emotionally driven choices. We can map out exactly how this trap operates in this cycle. Panic directly feeds into poor decisions. Those poor decisions guarantee worse outcomes, which then loop right back around to trigger even more panic. It is this specific segment right here, the erratic choices made while terrified, that does the heavy lifting. A sudden job loss is a temporary setback, but the desperate, uncalculated moves you make while panicking turn that setback into a permanent loss. When the dust settles and the loss is total, human nature kicks in. We instinctively point our fingers outward and blame the final outcome on a string of unpredictable, terrible luck. But calling it bad luck is a convenient fiction. When we look closely at the timeline of a collapse, luck rarely plays the final hand. Bad luck is almost always the mask we wear to hide our own weak emotional control. The external crisis didn't actually deliver the knockout blow. The total loss of their own mental grip defeated them from the inside out. To stop this cycle, we have to adopt a completely different approach. Instead of scrambling to survive what the world throws at you, you make a deliberate, conscious choice to master your own internal responses. This requires a principle of absolute possession. When the economy tanks, or a deal falls through, or your support system crumbles, you maintain a complete, unshakable hold on your mental faculties. Look at this illustration. This defines the strict boundary of our control. The chaotic shapes outside the circle are the macroeconomic shifts, sudden tragedies, and the actions of other people. They reside permanently outside our jurisdiction. The illuminated center is the only space we actually own. Real power has nothing to do with possessing the ability to stop the rain. It is the absolute refusal to let that water sink your ship. Holding your nerve during a crisis provides a massive operational advantage. While everyone else is blinded by their own panic cycle, a calm mind can scan the wreckage and identify the logical, pragmatic solutions hiding in plain sight. The moment you deliberately decide to stop reacting emotionally, a violent shift in power dynamics occurs. The external circumstances instantly lose their leverage over your behavior. You take your hands off your eyes and put them firmly on the steering wheel. By mastering your own internal panic, you stop being a helpless victim of chance and become a deliberate driver of your own outcomes. When you finally conquer the storm within, you stop merely surviving the world, you force the world to reckon with you.